Hi, everybody. As you know, I'm Michelle Tennant Nicholson. I co-founded Friends of East Flatrock.org with my husband Shannon, and we're doing a new series where it is Meet a Friend from Friends of East Flat Rock. And today, I literally have two new friends. So Mary and Jerome Kaufman, and I would love to know how many years you've been in East Flat Rock, what you do for a living or did for a living, and why you oppose the asphalt plant. So welcome to our series, Mary and Jerome.
Well, thank you, Michelle. My husband and I moved here 4 years ago from central Wisconsin. And we came here because both of us grew up in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountain region, and we wanted to get back to mountains.
I know a little bit here, the mountains.
Yeah,
right?
but we didn't want to deal with 385 inches of snow. So here we are. We bought a home, we've joined a church, we've been active in the community. We, for a while until my husband's health took a turn anyway, we belonged to the VIP Sheriff's Department, so we were volunteering with the sheriffs. So, you know, we feel like we're part of the community. We moved in with the intention of becoming part of the community and doing the things that you do when you are part of a community. So we feel like we've been vested, you know, again, through property ownership and just our connection into the community. Jerry and I both underwrote insurance for a long time. Jerry casualty insurance and myself property insurance. And part of the reason that we are really opposed to this asphalt plant is a matter of aesthetics.
Okay.
The first thing people would see when they come into this tourist-driven economy neighborhood would be this asphalt plant. It would back right up to the exit from the highway. Every single time we would leave our home, we'd have to pass this asphalt plant. We live, as the crow flies, probably about 1.5 miles from the plant. Jerry effectively has one lung, and we moved here because of the air quality. So to see that diminished for someone's profit, it would be very sad to both of us. We're well aware of the fact that there are a number of pieces of property that would already be zoned to accommodate this business here in the county. Now that zoning, my understanding is, went into effect not even quite 2 years ago. So if there's already property zoned that would accommodate this kind of industry, this industry belongs in one of those already zoned locations, not on a piece of land that right now offers support to the aesthetics of the area rather than deters from the aesthetics.
So Mary, I'm curious about a few things because your background is really in property insurance, and so one of the things that I'm just, you know, just to play devil's advocate, right? They're going to say, oh well, Mary and Jerry, you guys are 1 mile away. You're not going to smell anything, see anything, hear anything. How come you've not been deterred by the educational materials offered by the applicant? What would you say about those pieces?
Well, the first thing that I would say is I may live 1.5 miles from it, but the road that I take to come and go from my house passes directly past that plant. So whether I want to see that plant or not, every single time I leave our house, we would have to pass that plant. As a child growing up in the upstate New York area, we lived maybe 7 miles from an oil plant. Now, I realize it's not the same thing, but this plant polluted a lake, and always the whole county reeked from the smell of these oil tanks. And, you know, again, this is a different type of business, but it's the same chemical compounds, these heavy industrial oils that go into asphalt. And the smell can be phenomenal. Now,
yeah, we have a gentleman in Grimesdale who he's on our YouTube channel for Friends of East Flat Rock, and he talks about what it's like to have a farm right next door to the asphalt plant. And one of the things that our applicant is putting out there, presenting, saying that this is going to be state of the art. But still the greatest fear is a fire. And so having underwritten property insurance, from your viewpoint and expertise as an underwriter, will we have to get further insurance on, like, let's say it goes in and then we decide to stay here. Will we have to do anything special with our homeowners insurance?
I would have no real advice on that, Michelle, but I'm going to tell you that my feeling would be that it would depend on the plant itself. That's not really a question I can answer. What I can say, though, is that I have heard the applicant say in a previous meeting that he would do the minimum required of him. And while that may be a state-of-the-art plant that he's planning, if all you're willing to do is the minimum that's required of you, I don't think that's enough. Not in a community that is based solely, or for the most part, I shouldn't say solely, but in a community that has so much tourism. Doing the minimum that's required of you doesn't make sense to me.
No, to me as well. That was the thing that really shocked me in the neighborhood compatibility meeting. I was really like, well, you know, maybe the applicant will actually present something in the neighborhood compatibility meeting, you know, that maybe this is going to be an environmentally friendly one, or maybe there's going to be something that, you know, maybe it's not as bad as I'm envisioning. But in that was June 8th, and they were off camera, and so was the lawyer, and then the engineer was the only one that was on camera. And that entire meeting, they wouldn't answer our questions. We had, you know, 4 hours of direct questions about the environmental impact, the property value impact, and whatnot. And since then, the Q&A, I haven't been willing to go to anything that's not recorded by the county. And so when they presented on the 20th at the planning board meeting,
Right.
Were you there, Mary, by any chance?
I was there, but for health reasons, we stayed outside of the meeting.
Yes, I've been quarantined since the 29th of February because I'm caring for my 84-year-old mother now, who has a compromised heart condition. And I literally was in tears being in the building, and my husband had to keep holding my hand, and he's like, you've got an N95 mask on. You're probably going to be okay. So I can't guarantee it, but we're far enough away from other people. And I'm like,
Right.
God, this is so stressful. Right. So anyway, inside there was a video that was shown by one of the spokespeople for the applicant, who said, see how, let's just play this video about how quiet this asphalt plant is. And she had a sample of one of the asphalt plants that's being proposed for East Flat Rock. And everybody was shocked about how loud that video was. Like, her point was that it was quiet, and everybody present was like, oh my God, that is so loud. So I think it's also a matter of perception. You know, like, do you want to, and I think most of us are just on pure reasoning alone, like, it's just not zoned for this. And the growth of Henderson County and the growth of the plans for East Flat Rock, I interviewed Ellen Reed yesterday, and she built her dream home in East Flat Rock after having consulted the plans, just to make sure that the future of the community is congruent with her retirement wishes.
Right.
So, and I would imagine that as the two of you having been in insurance and underwriting as long, you seem to be detail people. You probably looked into that as well.
Well, we looked into a lot of things, mostly having to do with water and air quality, which were concerns that we had. Again, coming from the Midwest, we wanted to make sure that we were not taking a step backwards. We wanted to get into a mountain situation, but we wanted to keep the same quality of life that we had in the Midwest. But I want to revisit this noise issue for a minute. They may have had a video, Michelle, with regard to the noise of the plant itself, but let's talk about the noise of the trucks coming and going on a constant basis, like bees to a hive. That's going to congest that area, which is already, there's pieces of that area already congested, but it would further congest that. And the noise and the vibration of those trucks going through there constantly all day long would be terribly annoying for anyone that lived in the vicinity, the immediate vicinity. Again, we live where we have to come by there every day. So we'd have to certainly be watching those trucks as they came off the exit and onto Spartanburg Highway.
It's a really good point that I hadn't fully thought through until you're just now speaking about it. You know, I lived in Saluda. I've been here since 2002. I moved here for whitewater kayaking. I wanted to be in the mountains for that. And I'd be here for the Green River. So when I moved to Saluda, I was up on a hill and it was super quiet. And I remember when I got married in 2006, my husband bought this house where we are now in East Flat Rock in 2004. And I moved in when we were engaged, about 2005-ish. And I had a hard time, like, oh my gosh, we're going to be right next to Spartanburg Highway. So the traffic that, and I live and work at home. I have a PR firm, so I'm working all the time. And people sometimes ask me, gosh, are you in the middle of traffic? Right. And because I'm dealing with people from New York or LA or from Chicago, you know, Atlanta, bigger cities,
right,
they think that I'm just in a downtown environment and my windows open, and then it's just traffic from an urban environment. My gosh, I hadn't even thought about the added trucks that would come to, because I'm just 1,100 feet from there.
right.
And the neighborhood got up in arms a few years ago about a chainsaw art. There was a business that was trying to put a mobile home or something across the street here and do chainsaw arts. And the neighborhood was completely freaked about that noise. Can you imagine the noise from an asphalt plant? Because John Mason is sending us, he's taking videos every day. He's like, this is what I live with every day.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's an important conversation to have about noise levels, but then also your perception of what's noisy and what's not. Evidence of what happened on the 20th, you know, they were like, this is so quiet, see? And everybody was like, it's super noisy when this is your home and you want to rest. And, you know, I will say about Spartanburg Highway, the thing that I was mostly delighted having moved here is that it calms down in the evenings. It doesn't really, like, you do have a respite in the evenings. And the thing that the asphalt plant that I learned through our research is that it has to operate when it's cool. So even though they're saying there's certain hours, it's still a seasonal type. So first of all, the jobs are seasonal. So the, you know, whether it's 3, 6, or 20 jobs, whatever it is, they're seasonal jobs. They're not full-time. And then also that they're from what I can hear from the other asphalt plants, the neighbors are near the other asphalt plants. And by the way, there's 3 within 15 minutes of this location. And if you include Travelers Rest, it's 4 within 20 minutes. So we don't really need another asphalt plant. But that the noise actually happens at night when you're sleeping or trying to sleep because it's so loud. And then there's lights that come from the evening work because it's cool in the evening, and it's better for the equipment to be running when it's cooler outside. So that's the main thing for those of us who are within earshot and eyeshot of the plant of would we ever be able to sleep? I mean, we've got about 800 homes that surround the asphalt plant. So, and within a half a mile, it's just it's about 300. So about double the amount of homes that are over in Grimesdale or some of these other asphalt plant areas.
You know, another point, Michelle, is that this area is right at the top of the Blue Ridge Escarpment.
Yes.
Now, if I can be a little bit candid here, we had a neighbor when I was a little kid growing up that was a plumber. And he used to say you only needed to know two things to be a plumber. One was poop won't run uphill and payday's Friday. Well, that being said, water won't run uphill either. So anything that might be draining off of this plant at the edge of this Blue Ridge Escarpment is going to go down into all of those rivers that you like to whitewater canoe in.
That's right. And that's why part of the frenzy of, we've got 10, I haven't even checked in a while on our petition. Part of the reason we're doing a series, Meet the People Who Are in Friends of East Flat, is because people can't believe that there's 10,000 people who have signed this petition. Well, there are that many people who care, number one. And today, let's see how many we have today. At least if I can't share my screen. 10,920, 23. It goes all every look as we're going, like people sign up, right? There was an outreach to whitewater kayakers. So the Green River is notorious around the world for excellent whitewater kayaking.
Sure.
And that's one reason why it's such a beloved area, is because people come from all over the world to kayak the Green River. It's just, it's beloved. And so we've got about, right about 1,700 people that are in the zip code or right next to the zip code. And that's a lot. But then you have the extended zip codes, or we've got some people who are like in South Carolina or in other cities. They still come here. They split their time between here and maybe Charleston. Yeah.
Right.
And then you've got other people who grew up here and their families still live here. So it's a really interesting group of people who really care about this. And I know that people like to discount. They're like, there's no way we could have 10,939 people who care about this. And the answer is yes, you can, because we have.
Of course you can. Again, it's a tourist area. So anybody that comes here to recreate has a vested interest in it.
That's right.
If they're coming here to spend money, I realize there's not an Apple Festival this year because of the virus, but if they come here to spend money, they're spending money in hotels, they're spending money at gas stations, they're spending money at restaurants, they're spending money in local businesses. That makes them a vested interest if they come here time and time and time again.
That's right.
They don't want to come and recreate in an area that has been polluted, or whether it's noise pollution or chemical pollution, or just that it doesn't fit with the aesthetic of a tourist area. People don't want to come there.
Yeah, I just love that the fitting with the aesthetics of the area. I want to close on this because I just want people to understand how others see this area. So my husband and I were in Colorado. We have the flexibility of going wherever we have internet, so we can just kind of pick up and move. And sometimes we go to Colorado and just spend a month in Colorado and then come back, right? So far our bees and our chickens have grown so much that we've not done that in a few years. But we were once in Colorado just a few years ago, and somebody said, well, where do you live normally? And we said, by the Green River. And they were like, oh, that's the Mecca of whitewater kayaking. And similarly with mountain biking, they think it's the Mecca, right? So this is like the chosen land for whitewater kayaking, zip lining, any type of sports like that. This is where they come and recreate, whether it's Atlanta, Florida, New York. I mean, they all love to come here.
Just
So,
look at the license plates that go up and down Spartanburg Highway. I mean, that'll answer that question.
yes. Well, I really appreciate your time today. And is there anything else that you would like to say to everybody?
I just am very hopeful that we can all remain friends of East Flat Rock.
Yeah, same here. Same here. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, Mary. Nice to meet you both, Mary and Jerry.
Nice
And
meeting you, Michelle.
I'll see you in September at the commissioners meeting,
Yes, ma'am, you will.
even if it's
Thank you much.
outside.
Thank you much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.